Okay, maybe they're not so sure what the open access policy is. Okay, this is what I'm going to talk about. So what is the AU open access policy? Well, the open access policy is about open access contribution. Now, for the open access contribution, actually it has to meet two conditions. First is our policy support open and free access and the right to copy and display in any digital media. And the second condition is we encourage or we ask our faculty member and professional to submit or deposit their scholarly works into our digital repository. Now let me show you what the AU open access policy look like. And this is what our policy look like. So it talks a little bit about what is the purpose of the policy and what are the definition of open access. And I just mentioned about two conditions for open access contribution. And where they can deposit the publication. Now, our policy, may be short and simple, but it's really powerful in terms of supporting open access research, at our institution. Our policy is conformed to international standard, and it encourages faculty members and professionals to publish their research concurrently in an open access format, and all their published and unpublished work are welcome, and we want them to deposit in our open access archive and repository. Okay, I will do a little bit slowly because maybe the streaming is a bit too fast. Okay, next slide. What is the significance of open access policy? Well, our open access research policy is significant in the sense that it provides free access to research idea and discovery. Second is it's a good way to promote our institution, to raise our research profile, support open access, and provide wider distribution to our audience. Of course, one good thing is generate the publicity and increase citation. More people is going to cite because there are more access. And we provided a long-term access to all the scholarly and article, given researcher more control of the work. Most important of all is they can deposit their work at our open access archive, and there's no cost involved. Most important of all, all the granting agency also support public access. Let me give you an example here. The Social Science and Humanity Research Council want the researcher to have a strong web presence, and preferably have a digital place to publish their publication and showcase their scholarship. Now, the library has been doing extremely well in helping our faculty member to develop a digital place to showcase the publication and to support open access. So the question is always how we can actualize. The answer is really simple: is use our Alphabetical University open repository and archives, and we can actualize. It provides a digital place for faculty to promote the scholarly work and support open access policy. Now I'd like to talk a little bit about technology. So the technology is really simple. We use the DSpace technology. It's totally open source. The technology is developed by MIT and Hewlett Packard. It's fully customizable, and you can meet your own need. At the present time, this open source software has been used by more than 275 university and technical library. And this is a list of some of the institutions using the DSpace software, to develop their open access archive and repository. So this is a list, as you can see. Now, so I like to do a little bit of tech talk here about technology. The technology is like, is a modular architecture. It have a really well-defined application programming interface, so easy to interoperable, like other repository. 100% open source using Java and SQL, like as a database. As a really good way to handle, like the URL. It can accommodate a different, like level of access, open, restricted access. It's entirely up to you. It's fully customizable. Most important of all is use the OAI PMH. It stands for the Open Archive Initiative Protocol for Metadata Harvesting. In other words, like it will allow other repository to harvest your metadata so that you can achieve a federated searching. So this is the information model of AU Space. The model is organized around a community corresponding to the academic and unit of the university. In each of the community, it can contain unlimited collection. The collection can be open or it could be restricted. And the collection can contain unlimited digital objects. And then we use the double encode to meta tag the objects. And the object can handle different bit stream or format. For example, it can handle PDF, GIF file, Word document. Anything you can think of in digital format, it handles extremely effective and well. This is just an example of the model. So this is the community, the top level. In the community, we have a collection. And this is all the collection. In the collection, you including an objects. And this is all the objects look like. And then you can see author title, and this is all the metadata used to meta tag the objects. Now, what are some of the special features? First of all, it can handle different digital format. It's all community driven and focused, and it is also institutional support. Good example of institutional support is here. So if the president is using it, then it has to be good. And it can also support open URL linking. What these features does is, if you scroll down, they're using a really short URL. This is like a kind of DOI, digital object identifier. It's easy to share with your colleague. You can just give out that short URL, they'll be able to access instead of copy the long link from your address bar. And we also provide a really strong support for our archive, including development FAQ agent and also the RSS feed. Now, what are some of the functionality? So AU Space is really different from other repository like Malode. It allows users not only to submit the metadata, but also the actual objects. So if you use a really standard metadata, the double encode, accommodate different level of access, the search actually is quite powerful. You can broaden your search, or you can also narrow down your search. This is just an example. Let's say right now I like to search for Alberta. It shows up a 358 record. Now if I want to narrow down the search, if all I want is just to search for a subject under Center for Distance Education. Now I narrow down my search. So it was down to 62 record. So the searching is really powerful. Now it's also a good way for people to access your publication. You have the subscribe feature and new edition. Now, what I mean by subscription feature is, now we are in Fritz community. If you really like what you see here, if you go and click subscribe and leave your email, every time Fritz posts a new publication, you will automatically get an email and say, Fritz have a new publication. Please go and read. In the upper right corner, has the recent submission. Every time he posts something new, it will show up in the recent submission. And it's also a really good way for faculty member to sell archiving the document. Now,